Welcome to Rising Stars, where Miriam Knight, publisher of New Consciousness Review, interviews exciting new voices in the world of progressive and transformational books, films, and ideas, who offer intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us as we celebrate the conscious awakening and explore many expressions of consciousness in action.
Welcome to Rising Stars. I'm Miriam Knight, and our guest today is Shelly Wilson. Shelly is an intuitive medium, Reiki Master, and spiritual growth coach whose passion is assisting others on their own spiritual journeys. She has studied with Sonia Choquette, Lisa Williams, James Van Praagh, John Holland, and Tony Stockwell, and she's a certified Karuna Reiki Master through the International Center for Reiki Training. She's also a featured columnist and an executive editor for OMTimes Magazine, no doubt in her spare time. Shelly is the author of 28 Days to a New You, Connect to the You Within, and Journey into Consciousness. And I am so delighted that she could join us today. Hi, Shelly.
Hello, Miriam. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you. Shelly, your first book, I think it was your first book, I'm not sure. Your book, Journey into Consciousness, is just a really personal story. And I was wondering, why did you decide to write it?
Well, yes, it was my first book. I will tell you that, but it was actually the third one that was published because I was waiting and waiting and waiting for the right time. I will tell you that I live in Oklahoma. I was raised in the Baptist religion, and my dad's a civil engineer. So those three things, for many people, they say, oh, I understand. That's why, it took a while. So coming out as an intuitive medium, and Miriam, I prefer to call myself intuitive versus the word psychic, even though I recognize psychic means of the soul. I just, had a lot of fear, for lack of a better way of saying it. So I chose to write Journey into Consciousness to share those experiences that made me who I am. The second section of the book, it is from my awakening, my spiritual awakening, which I deemed to be May 1st, 2008. And then the third section is dedicated to providing tips and tools for others on their own journey into consciousness. Now, Miriam, throughout the entire book, I have incorporated my own experiences and provided some messages and tools and insight for those also on this journey, regardless of where they're at, that they can apply to their own lives as well.
Now, Shelly, one of the things that I really love to learn about is how you experienced the flowering of your intuition, because I think that's one of our greatest gifts as human beings.
I absolutely agree, and I got chills all over as soon as you asked and posed that question, Miriam. I will tell you, I always knew things. I was a very sensitive child. I had epilepsy and migraines, and I have essential tremors. And upon reflection, when I did wake up, I recognized that I was channeling lots of energy. And so I began a journey, and it wasn't until 2008 that I would deem that I actually woke up, spiritually speaking. I really had the confidence and could channel those abilities. And I've studied with many wonderful teachers to help develop them. And I'm very clairsentient, which means I'm feeling what I experience, whether I'm reading psychically or mediumistically, and that really helps me to connect with my client.
Did you have a profession before you went into working with clients on an intuitive level?
Yes, my background's business, and we also have a home-based business in addition to working outside of the home, but I've not officially worked outside of the home since 1999. And it was 2008 when I stepped into this work, assisting others on their own journey. It initially began with practicing Reiki, and then I began offering readings, doing private sessions, and now I really love teaching and providing those assistance to others on their journey.
One of the things that seems to characterize this time is this upwelling of desire to be of service to others in a really profound way. And, whatever profession we're in, we are of service to others, to the greater good. But there seems to be this kind of focusing in on opening one's heart and connecting to what you do in the world as a form of service. Is this your understanding or your impression as well?
Absolutely, Miriam. And I will tell you that, we ask those questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? And those people that are really passionate about life and living, they find that very easy. But there may be people who struggle or search, and in turn, they are exploring and discovering who they are. And the more that we really connect to ourselves, and that's why I wrote the book, Connect to the You Within, listen to what your higher self says, your knowingness, go to that gut instinct, connect with your guides and your angels, and know that they are here to help you on this earth plane journey that we're all on.
There's a term that was coined by a sociologist in just after the turn of the century, called conscious creatives.
Yes.
And this is a term that means many things to many people. What do you mean by consciously creating?
Yes, that's a great term and a great reference. And to me, being awake, being aware, operating on that sixth sense, that intuitive awareness, being mindful, to me, that's what conscious is all about. And the more that we are in this present moment, in the here and now, rather than living in the past or living in the future, the more that we become aware of our energetic emission with our thoughts, our words, our actions, our intentions, how we respond to one another or circumstances. To me, that's how we consciously create.
Consciousness is obviously a term very near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely.
I'm all about the new consciousness. And I'm always looking for examples of consciousness in action. And I think what you are doing in the world is such an example, because people are hurting. They really are reflecting the malaise and the violence of this time. How does your work as an intuitive medium help them?
Well, I definitely, because I am empathic, also known as clairsentient, I can connect to their energy regardless if they're with me or we do it distantly over the phone or Skype, but I feel into their energy. And having my own human life experiences, I can relate to many of what people are challenged with. Of course, not always, but I can have a feeling or an impression that I can relate to. And Miriam, I think so many people do get caught up in what is happening around us. They look at, what's on the media and how it's portrayed, and we automatically go into that fear mode. And fear isn't a bad thing. That's part of our human expression and our emotions. But the more that we move into that vibration of love and trust and seeing things from that higher soul perspective, the happier we'll feel and the more at peace we'll feel.
It's interesting. I was thinking of raising my own children and how you try to instill fear in them to keep them safe. But at some stage, if you don't give them the opposite outlet for expressing their freedom, then fear takes over.
Yes. There's a balance, and I think we have to have the contrast, but I also think, sometimes if we really look at the worst case scenario of an experience and look at the best case scenario, sometimes it's going to fall just in between. So our humanness tends to want to go to the very worst thing that could happen.
Yes, and we dwell on that, on what might be, instead of living in the now. And
exactly.
And even if it doesn't happen, we have already experienced the negative emotions. We're wonderful inventions. Thank you, God.
Yes.
Now, you call yourself an intuitive medium.
Yes.
There are people who are just intuitives and others who are mediums, and you're an intuitive medium. So what do those terms mean?
Well, to clarify, as I said initially, I have psychic abilities, but I don't much care for the word psychic. So I prefer to call myself an intuitive. I'm tapping into those sixth sense, those intuitive psychic abilities. And then as a medium, I connect with those that have passed to the other side. So more people are becoming familiar with what that is. Obviously, in the media, it is portrayed in a different light many times than what actually happens during a session. But I definitely feel that sometimes we need closure and connection to our loved ones just to know that life does continue, that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed.
And the mediumship ability, is that something that has been developing for you over time, or did you have it kind of full blown at the beginning?
No, I feel like I definitely had the abilities, but I was not in my full consciousness that I could do it until a chain of events. And I share all of that in my book, Journey into Consciousness. And I have developed it. It's one of those things that I have to get out of the way and out of my head and really just know that this information that's coming to me, I give what I get as it comes through.
I hear from a lot of intuitives that one of the biggest challenges is learning to trust the information that's coming through. Was that a challenge for you?
Yes. And the thing is we wanted to interpret it for ourselves, and we do have to do that to a degree, but the information is going to come through as thoughts, feelings, impressions, memories, words, and it's a matter for us as the receiver to interpret it, to convey it to the person who then interprets it. And sometimes the images and words are literal, but sometimes it's very symbolic. It would be easy if our loved ones who have passed could just say, this is what I want to say, tell them. But many times they give us those feelings and impressions that we in turn convey to them.
Well, we're coming up to a break, so I don't want to start another subject, but I really want to know about some of the experiences that you've had as an intuitive medium. I think it'll be quite fascinating. We are speaking with the delightful Shelly Wilson. She is the author of 28 Days to a New You, Connect to the You Within, and Journey into Consciousness. Stay with us and we'll be right back.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
No, the name is Joe. The Joe Show. And we are returning back for our 9th season here on OMTimes Radio. So tune in every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on OMTimes.com/mobile. You can take us wherever you go. Yeah!
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business.
Live with medium Lisa Phoenix, Mediumship Messages and Musings, explores mediumship and all things metaphysical. Lisa Phoenix invites you to reach above and beyond your everyday experiences to explore new dimensions in the spirit world. She will do live readings to connect callers to their loved ones in spirit, shares engaging stories and teachings from her own personal experience, and will have intriguing conversations with other mediums, spiritual teachers, and healers to help you understand the metaphysical world so you can connect to these forces in your day-to-day life. Join your host on this magical and metaphysical journey into the world of spirit every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And we are back speaking with Shelly Wilson, the author of 28 Days to a New You, Connect to the You Within, and Journey into Consciousness. Shelly, tell us what your website is.
Yes, my website is shellyrwilson.com, and to spell that, it's SHELLYRWILSON.com.
Great. Now, a medium really connects with people who have passed, and I know that especially people who are grieving for someone close to them have this burden of grief that they find difficult to get through. And I have spoken to so many people who have had readings from mediums that have given them comfort in their grief. Can you tell us some of the transformative sessions, perhaps, that you've had and the difference that you've seen in people when they get these messages from their loved ones?
Absolutely, and that's, something that many people do experience is a lot of grief, and that grief could last really a long time, and that's absolutely understandable. And what I find, Miriam, through my sessions, and that is one of the main reasons I do mediumship work, is to help those who are here to understand that life does continue. Our loved ones who transition to the other side, they no longer have that physical body, but there's still energy. As we know, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. So during a session, and to clarify, the information comes through for me as thoughts, feelings, impressions. I may hear a word or see an image or feel something on my physical body, and I convey that to the person. I want to bring through enough evidence so that they know that it is their loved one with them, whether it's a name, a date, information, some kind of description, even how they passed. I want to let them know that this is who I have connecting to them through me. And then providing information, many times the messages are to let them know that they see what they're doing now, provides them that feeling of comfort. Sometimes it provides closure if there especially was challenges between the relationship when they were still here. But there's so many reasons why people may have a session with a medium wanting to connect to those who have passed. And I should also mention too, Miriam, that many times our loved ones try to get our attention, and this is for anyone, whether they are intuitive or psychic or mediumistic or not. Our loved ones give us signs all the time, whether it's songs on the radio, cloud formations, those birds that come into our awareness, butterflies, dragonflies, those pennies from heaven. Our loved ones, and I should mention too, the flickering lights or the telephone ringing and no one's there, and it's just like half a ring. All of that are messages from our loved ones who have passed, if we believe them to be as such.
Well, if we just recognize them, I mean, so often we go through life with blinkers, anchored in present reality, and we don't trust the signs and messages that we see. So that must be a big hurdle to get over. Really being mindful of what is happening around us. Would you agree?
I would agree. And the thing is those people that choose to utilize their sixth sense, that intuitive awareness, and we all have that ability, but a lot of people are just operating on their five physical senses. And the more that we do heighten that sixth sense, pay attention, practice that present day moment awareness in that mindfulness, it will help us to see the signs. It will help us to see those people coming into our lives and providing us with those opportunities to learn and to grow.
It is so difficult to even if you have been going on the spiritual path for a long time, it's so difficult to make that switch into trusting your intuition, trusting your sixth sense, because you think, oh no, it's just my imagination, it couldn't possibly be real. But all of the literature that is coming through now, all of the people who are awakening now are talking about listening to the universe. The universe wants to connect to you, and that is how you change your life.
Very much so.
Have you had? What was your profession before you became a medium? How did it change your life?
Well, first and foremost, I was a wife, am a mother, I'm a businesswoman, and I pursued this fully and wholeheartedly. It was 7 years ago. And so I stepped out of the real world, shall I say, and stepped more into spiritual living, a mindful practice, a conscious practice, and began doing this as work. Even though I don't call it work, it is what I do to assist others and to be of service to spirit in the universe.
What made you decide to do that, to step out like that?
Well, I really existed. Just to put it very, very bluntly, I felt like I was going through the motions of life, as many people do, and just wake up, do what I do, and then come home, go to bed, and start the day anew again. But it was just, very monotonous, and I knew that I needed to stop existing and start living, and that's where the book 28 Days to a New You began. And the whole idea is that we shift our perception and we become present moment and really see everyone and everything from a higher soul perspective.
Now, not everybody is going to become a medium or an intuitive. You can be living from a spiritual perspective in just any kind of profession. What do you think constitutes making that shift wherever you are?
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right, Miriam, that you can be anything, anyone, do anything, and have a spiritual practice, be conscious, be mindful, meditate, be in the moment. These are tools that we can all utilize to enhance our life, to have what I would deem a good life, a happy life, a joyful life. And even though in those joyful moments and these amazing days that we have, we still are faced with challenges. And it's a matter of how we choose to respond to what we're faced with.
Yes, I don't know who it was who said that pain in life is a given, but suffering is optional.
I agree, and it's how we choose to respond. I wrote my book, Journey into Consciousness, to share with the readers more about my own life, my personal experiences that made me who I am, and then providing that information into my own spiritual wake-up, and then provided tips and tools to assist other people on their own journey as well, taking what I learned and applying that to other experiences. And to me, there's no mistakes in life. Everything that we do is a choice that we make. We can stay in the past and beat ourselves up over the choice we made at the time, or we can see those perceived mistakes as opportunities to learn and to grow, and choose to learn from them so we can have that in as wisdom and how we choose to respond in the future.
I think we really tend to beat ourselves up too much. We kind of replay the guilt and the shame that we inherited from our parents, teachers, partners, environment, school buddies. And to fully accept yourself is and love yourself is the first part of the challenge. The second part, I feel, is learning to live for a greater, higher purpose. Not because you have to go save the world, but because you will be more fulfilled. You will get a bigger high from helping others, because that's really what we're here for. We're here to be our best and biggest self. When you connect with the other side, Shelly, have you gotten insights from the other side that you that changed your perception of what you need to do in the world?
Well, I definitely recognize that once we do cross over to the other side, we go through that 360-degree panoramic view of our life from the moment we were born till the moment that we die. And we see and feel every experience as well as the effect that our actions and emotions and responses and words and everything else had on those around us. So we have that full 360-degree review. Now, what I feel is we know that's going to happen, so in this present moment, why don't we consciously choose to respond from a place of love, to let everyone have their experience, to be very mindful knowing that we can have that review every moment, and just be more aware of that energetic emission we're putting out with our thoughts, our words, and our actions.
I've heard from others that life review is fascinating in that you are surrounded by unconditional love, and the only individual being critical of your life is yourself.
Exactly. That's what I've heard as well, Miriam, and I've got chills all over to validate that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when people perceive a hell, just to clarify that for a moment, sometimes that's what they experience based on their actions here on life, and they're feeling all of that. But I do believe that the energy is embodied of love, the vibration of love, unconditional love. And I think the more that we do love ourselves now and love our choices and choose consciously, I think that we can all have that experience going forward.
So what little word of advice can you provide in closing?
Definitely be you. Have the courage to express your beliefs, to live by them, to be in this present moment. And the more that you see yourself as that beautiful, unique, miraculous creation that you are, the more everyone else will see it as well, and they'll embrace it and rejoice with you.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Shelly, give us an idea of what you're doing next. Do you have another book in the works?
I definitely have one in my heart and in my head, shall I say, Miriam. I want to write about empowerment. That is my passion, of really helping other people on this journey into consciousness, this journey of life, and letting them know that all of the answers they seek can be found within.
Oh, that's the most important message, really. It's stretching out that hand that helps lift someone else. Beautiful. Well, Shelly, thank you so very much for being with us today. We've been speaking with Shelly Wilson, author of 28 Days to a New You, Connect to the You Within, and Journey into Consciousness. Her website is shellyrwilson.com.